I've got markers, pencils, and pens all mixed together. I don't have any table legs, and I keep my inks in a bunch of bathroom trays. I'm super excited to walk you through my IKEA craft room today and share the backstory on why I chose to organize the way I did. Hey there, it's Carrie at Ink Hill Revival, and I'm all about helping you see what you and your stash can do. I started out making cards at my dining room table, and over that first year, my pantry could tell you that. There was less and less food and more paper and stamps. Luckily, we finished remodeling the basement and I moved on out of the kitchen. One of the main priorities for my new space was a setup that we could squeeze in somewhere. So instead of a craft room, we came up with this, a craft wall. At our last house, it was tucked into the playroom and exercise area. And here at the new house, it's in the bedroom office exercise area. Another priority for the setup was being able to craft with my kids. I knew I needed a 2-seater desk and a lot of table space. But a big, huge desk is too expensive. So instead, we just got this tabletop at IKEA. It doesn't have any legs. So what we've done is mounted it below here with an Elle bracket, some really hefty ones off Amazon. The great thing about this is I can just pull my IKEA unit out here. It's on casters, and we can fit a third chair in here if we ever want. Also, we drilled holes into the tabletops, one hole at each workstation. And right now I've got all my camera and lighting cords going through there, but you can run a heat gun. I had some overhead lighting in our last house. Another must-have for me was a setup with quick, easy access to my supplies. But at the same time, I didn't want it to have a cluttered, messy look. That meant a lot of shallow drawers, clean looking open shelving, and a little wall and tabletop storage. Let me show you some of that. This big giant shelf up here is so handy. It's what stores all of my paper, all of my stamps and dies. I'm all about vertical storage, and so this shelving works perfectly. I've got all of my papers here in, I'm trying to think what these are called, paper dividers from Daiso. So I've got a bunch of these up here. I keep my favorite papers, these are my Concord and Ninth papers, in separate plastic sleeves. I also have all of my paper scraps stored in these Avery Elle stamp and die storage pockets, which has been really handy. I used to have them up kind of stuffed by the paper and things were falling off the shelf on me, and this just makes it so quick and easy to use my scraps first. Now, what I don't like with paper is horizontal storage. Things just stacked up in piles. Let me show you that. My patterned paper organization is like none. My paper that I use for card bases and coloring, I've just got large amounts of them that I can just easily pull in and out. I've also got in process projects. I love these containers to take care of that and keep all the supplies in one spot. These baskets are from Daiso, and I love them because they are cheap. It's $1.50 an item at Daiso, and they fit my stamp and die pockets perfectly, and they look nice. That was important to me, to have a cohesive, nice look if my supplies were gonna be, out in the open, which I love. I love the access. Moving along the shelf, I've just got some extra envelopes here, empty basket. It's always good to have some empty space. And I've got my die storage right here. Actually, it's dies and embossing folders. So I've got my embossing folders, and I've got my dies divided in here by general theme. So this right here is my word dies, my alpha dies, basic shape dies, and I've got tags and stitching dies, picture dies, and background dies, plus the ones that are too big to fit the right direction. I've got 3 baskets here. I divide my stamps by theme, which of course, that's always tricky. There's some overlap, but I try to just keep it in the main theme I use it for. I've got a holiday mix, just as example. I've got images, just ones that didn't fit under a theme, but were primarily images. There's a primarily sentiment one, Christmas, birthday, encouragement, flowers, patterns. And then the other thing that I do, it's a little different and out of keeping with the rest of my organization, is right here is stamps and dies that are newer. I keep my stamps right here and my dies in the back. And I just think it's easier to remember and get using the things you actually bought if you keep them set aside for a little bit longer than the others. I've enjoyed having them like that. I've got one last container of stamps. And these are my background stamps and my, I think is it 6x9, the large stamp sets that just can't fit in my same baskets, unfortunately. I've got stencils and then I've got those larger stamp sets back here. And that is where I have all my stamps and dies. It's such easy access. It's nice to have them to rifle through and just have right at the desk with me. Because that's how I do a lot of my designing, is on the spot, kind of flipping through, getting inspired from what I have. Also got my organization supplies, which I think is super important to have handy. Otherwise, when are we ever going to organize? I've got a Brother label maker refills. I have all my different sizes of storage pockets. I decided, like I mentioned, to mix all of my coloring supplies together and prioritize color instead of type. So I bought this rail and bucket system from IKEA. These are super handy. I can pop them on and off and bring them right down to my work surface as I choose my colors. And you can see I've got my Copics, my gel pens, Prismacolors. If I had tried to store these all separate, I wouldn't have been able to color code them. I just don't have enough. This is a huge important storage item for me. It is all of my most used items. Bone folder, you know, that thingy. I can't even think what it is called. Embossing powder, anti-static tool, craft knife, tweezers. And I've got all my glues, pencils, pens, painting supplies, and sparkle. My other storage item I absolutely love is the scrap stash, which I did an entire video on revamping this system. I have taken these magnetic baskets that I used to have hanging on a plumbing access door and just put them on another one of these IKEA Cernesta rails. And all these baskets are just magnetic up here. Each item is organized by image type or sentiment type. I've got backgrounds over here, strips, super handy. You're actually going to use your scraps when they're this front and center. Also real handy is my die cut machine, just right on top of that system. I can pull it out, and ironically, I don't pull it out and put it on the desk. I pull it out and I put it right here, and this is where I do all my die cutting. I don't know why, it's so much more comfortable. Do you die cut on the floor? Also got other extra plates for my die cut machine, and this is a little perler bead case that had all the colors divided for my kids. This is so handy for die cut pieces as you're making, cut a bunch and keep them organized. One other really quick, easy access thing I like to have is a tabletop trash can. This is from Daiso. I just feel like all those little scraps that build up and make my space feel like a mess, with that right there, I actually put it in right away, as opposed to my trash and recycling that I keep below the desk. But you know what I also wanted? The opposite of easy access. I needed a totally out of the way place to store all those random things I don't use that much. So welcome to my closet. I have these couple of big IKEA boxes and then the 3 smaller version of the same box. And they're just little cardboard boxes, nothing special, super cheap, but it's perfect for all those items you just don't really need that often, but I don't want to get rid of. So I've got a couple bits of clothes because I have a video about making cards out of clothes. And I have refills in this box, tape runners, my kids' supply refills. This is my whole bag of Christmas tag making. These are just things I use so rarely, but there are occasions when we do still want to pull them out. But it's definitely not worth putting organizational money into these things. So These boxes work perfect. I also keep my finished cards in a smaller version of these same boxes. They are a perfect fit for A2 cards. I'll just show you inside one of these. This was just a random pack of cards I bought at Costco years ago before I made cards, and it had these dividers, so I just stole them. Another priority for my space was grouping like things together. As much as I could, at least. The idea here was to keep prep time down with an easy grab-and-go type setup. Let me show you how I did that organization in my short Alex unit. You might be wondering, these are my baby locks because it is terrifying the thought of my baby getting into all this. My top drawer here is all things stamping. I've got my Misty, all of my stamp blocks, cleaning supplies, baby wipes. My scissors are randomly in here too. They're actually supposed to hang up on the same rail system as my coloring supplies, but baby. My next drawer is embossing. I've got all my powders. I actually keep my embossing ink separate from the other ink, so it's up here in the embossing drawer. Everything you need, heat gun, all the powders. Next drawer is my cutting drawer. So I've got my older trimmer and my Tim Holtz one. I love this one, the Fiskars one, for precision cuts. And the tonic one is just amazing for cutting big piles of paper. Okay, not big piles, but multiple sheets at once. I have got rulers in here too, as well as refill blades. This is my ink drawer, which I love my ink drawer. I love color. That was a priority for me when I started card making. And I have these inks in little bathroom trays from the Dollar Tree. So can you believe it's like $3 for all my ink storage? I've got color swatches on top so I can quickly see what I'm grabbing. I've also got my distress inks in the small tins from Ranger and some sponge daubers and other extra inks. This is an example of a drawer that does not follow my goals, which is keeping like things together. But at a certain point you run into a couple items that they don't have enough like things. So this is mishmash. I've got all of my hole punchers, liquid watercolors, press and seal, leftover tags that I've cut. I love making tags. And a few stickers and extra craft sheets for when my kids make with me. And there's the other messy drawer. Ooh. Patterned paper drawer. A couple years in, I realized I'd missed a huge organizing priority. I wanted all of my supplies to have a very specific home. Not just a drawer, but an actual contained space in there. Because me and drawers, we are a mess together. I wanted to find some perfectly sized containers for my supplies, and I wanted them to fit really well in these IKEA Alex drawers. Oh, and I didn't want to spend all that much money. So I shopped around quite a bit, and a few times I did have to go more custom and expensive, but a lot of times I found just what I needed for a pretty good price. Let me show you how I used some of them. This is my tall Alex unit, and within this drawer, I actually ended up going expensive on my container. This is for all of my embellishments, and you can buy different size containers to use, which is super handy depending on how much you have. And I just didn't want to mess with embellishments. They're just a huge mess unless you have a system that really works for them. I've got a few stickles and Nuva drops up here. This drawer has all my punches, and I've actually taken a kitchen drawer insert from IKEA and we chopped it in half, and just to make it so it fit my drawers better. This drawer has part of it and another drawer has another part. This is my adhesive drawer. I have my main adhesives, foam tape, tape runner that are quick and easy access on top. But I also have divided in here, this is a bathroom organizer from IKEA. I have my tapes and adhesives in here, but the lid from this unit, see that? I actually stole that, and that went into my embossing drawer to keep all my embossing powders and anti-static powder tool all together. Back here, I have some more drawer organizers from Daiso, and I've got those action wobblers and tape refills in here, masking paper. This drawer is my beloved distress ink organization. I just did an entire video on how I organize this drawer, so I will also link that one for you. But it's a combination of Ranger ink tins and small stackable containers from Daiso for the foams, little containers for the blending tools. I mean, this is how I like to do it. I like to have everything have its spot because my drawers go crazy unless things have assigned spots and small containers. This is another one of those kitchen organizers from IKEA that I have chopped and just taken part of it. Now I've got my twine, which I use that a lot more than ribbon. I've also got this perfectly sized little container from Daiso again for my baker's twine. This is my paper drawer, and the way I have chosen to divide up my pre-cut card fronts and card bases is with these containers from the Dollar Tree. They fit 2 different types. It's like the perfect length. I just have it labeled with some washi tape to show which type of paper is which, because once you get them all cut up and out of their packaging, it's like, I have no clue what this is anymore. So I've got 3 of those to hold my Nina Desert Storm cardstock and watercolor paper, marker paper, Bristol paper, and my Recollections paper. Well, so I keep my Nina Solar White and Desert Storm in one stack because it's obvious which is which, and then my Recollections paper to the side, which is a much better price, but for certain things it doesn't work as well. Like ink blending works much better on the Nina Solar White than Recollections paper. But when I can get away with the cheap paper, I definitely want to use that. Over here on this side, I have pre-cut and scored card bases and some that I've randomly folded. The next row down is my wood block stamps, and these have been massively purged. But what I'm left with here, I decided to divide out in the way I use them. So I just used a shoebox lid here, but this is my Christmas stamps, which I still love wood block stamps for Christmas because I do a lot of get-togethers to make tags with like children, and wood block stamps are just easier with kids. And then I have the rest of them all below in, it's like a Sterilite 3-drawer container that I got at a garage sale. And I just stole the drawers out of it and used them as an organization system within my own drawers. Right here, I have this container from Michael's, and this is all my alpha stamps. I've got multiple types divided up obviously by the letter, and even back when I was woodblock stamping, I loved alpha stamps. I love alpha dies and I love alpha stamps. But at the time, it's so funny, I kept thinking clear stamps were just a pain to use because you had to mount them every time, put them in and out, and now it's like, why did I ever think wood blocks were easier than clear stamps? It's just funny. This drawer is my mailing drawer. Anything I would need to mail a card is just right here all together, divided up usefully in all these little containers from Daiso. I actually have one of the same containers that I store my stamps and dies in that holds my envelopes. I never take it out, so it's kind of like a pain to get out if you did, but it's a perfect fit to hold the envelopes for A2 cards. And I've got my slimline envelopes, my stamps, and my 4-bar size envelopes, plus washi tape. I'll use that to seal the envelope and then just put that washi tape on decoratively. This last drawer is a mishmash. I've got another one of those baskets to divide up my space from Daiso, and I have a bunch of these zipper pouches from Daiso, and a lot of these have not in-process projects, just project ideas that I've done that I wanted to replicate, and a bunch of empty ones too. This is ironic timing. I'm just about to show you my kids' craft tower, and Audrey just woke up from a nap, and it's like really bright. My kids and I actually did a lot of purging when we moved of their craft supplies as well, and so they just take up a couple of these drawers now. We actually have some empty ones. We use the same kind of Daiso baskets and buckets to organize their space. Like we've got watercolor pencils, washi tape. We use, again, the lids to the IKEA containers for some stamps. Not that one. Next row down, we've got more of the kids' supplies. This is, again, one of those bathroom organizers from IKEA for their glues and scissors. And these are the bathroom organizers from the Dollar Tree for some of their, doodads, I don't know what to call these, stuff that they love to make a mess with. And if anything comes in an amazing storage box, you know you gotta keep it. The rest of these drawers for quite a while is just filming equipment. I've got sound equipment. We've got all sorts of the little bits and pieces organized in those Dollar Tree bathroom organizers. Another one of those IKEA kitchen drawer organizers chopped off right there just to fit lenses. This is one of my kids' drawers. Here is a kitchen drawer insert from IKEA. My son's got his stamps and his alcohol markers from Michael's. And we've got his ink pads and pre-cut pictures in these IKEA bathroom organizers. And another one of them in the larger size for his small cards, envelopes, and card fronts. And more organization supplies. This is how much I purged when we moved. We've got so much empty space now and empty containers, which I think that's a really good place to be because I just shopped on Black Friday. Isn't it so funny? We all get into this card making hobby without realizing, oh, we just signed up for 3 hobbies: creating, collecting, and organizing. So even if you've gotten your craft space all set up, well, there's always that pileup of brand new supplies. But I've got some tricks to help you get on top of that mess, and I'd love to share them with you. Click right here, and I'll see you there.